Hey.
Hi, I'm Anam. I'm also the operation manager of the marketer.
Hey, I'm Anas Sambat and I'll be the financial manager of the company.
I'm Sansana and I'll be the director strategic planning of the market.
I'm Tan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of the marketer.
Walk with me. So basically, as I mentioned, I represent the marketer. Who we are? We're a consultancy firm. What do? Easy. We consult our clients. On what, you ask? Well, we tell them how to incorporate green initiatives and sustainability into their supply chain. Why do we do that? So that they perform better in terms of legitimacy and reputation. Now, in order to offer better advice to our clients, what we did, we actually reviewed, studied, and critically analyzed this paper called The Relationship Between Legitimacy, Reputation, Sustainability, and Branding for Companies and Their Supply Chain. It's by Michael, Hans, and Gianpaolo, published in 2014. It's a must-read. So basically, this article talks about and interlinks the notion of reputation, legitimacy, and sustainability into their business value chain. Now, in order to make it a lot easier for clients to understand, what did we do is that we identified 5 key propositions, which will be discussed and further analyzed in depth by the key individuals in our firms.
Nisha, I've always meaning to ask you this question. Do companies have a financial or a competitive motive to go green?
Yeah, according to the article, they said no financial motives in the first place.
I see.
Okay, but I don't agree with that. If strategy is a choice, then what motives lie behind the decision about investing in a business? The thing is, each and every transaction of a business is expecting some kind of a return, or that is mostly financial. So financial decisions and financial motives are the most important things, and that basically drives the deal.
Oh, well, that answered my question.
Anna, as you think, what can companies do to become legitimate and reputable in this age?
Glad you asked, Michelle. Now, this is something also that in the article the authors recurrently talk about, and something me and my team collectively don't agree about it. Now, you may ask, why is that? Well, let's see it. The whole article pretty much is based on this one ideal theory of institutionalization, which says that what happens is companies conform to the social norms and under pressure do what others are doing. So basically, if you're going green without any consideration to what I should go green, I'll just do it. Because if you're doing it and if everybody else is doing it, then doing that myself would give me some sort of legitimacy. And eventually that would build up to be my positive reputation. Now that's one theory and one social view to look at it. Then there is the resource-based theory, which says rather than opting to look similar in order to survive in the long run, I should stand out in the competition. I should initiate to be different, and I should do it by using my own resources and my capabilities. Again, that's another way to look at it. Now, we don't live in a perfect world, do we? So we don't need these perfect ideal theories that are at the very end of the continuum. So this is why if I were to write that journal article, or not that I'm claiming to be an academic, but let's say if I were to advise my clients, I would have used something like a theory of strategic balance, which would say that companies should trade off in being similar and try to be as unique as possible, which would give us a more balanced view to look at things, right? Now, as also you may ask about the reputation, as I initially I told you about it, usually what happens is you do something that I do, it gives you some sort of a legitimacy because everybody is doing it, so you can't be wrong about it. And eventually, stakeholders talk about it, and you over time develop a positive reputation. But how about looking into companies like Intrepid Travel, something that we've really been hearing about recently, who've actually built out of their success based on those social values, So they haven't done everything that everybody was doing it. They did something, they built a career out of it, they built a business out of it, and that gave them reputation and made them successful, and then eventually gave them legitimacy. So something to think about, yeah?
Yeah, I think I have got a better explanation. Thank you. Do you believe believe that having strong financial performance gives a company a better reputation and a legitimacy.
Well, some part of it is true. Well, in this modern world, financial performances play an important role in all economic key decision making. Management uses it to plan, organize, run its operation, and even use it to identify error in specific area. Well, it measures the firm's overall health, meaning the cash flows and everything. And it's really important. As a financial manager, I use those numbers to compare it with other industries and even other sectors as well. And it is the main indicator of whether the firm is making profit or loss. And that is very important because customers, investors, and even stakeholders are very interested in those numbers. Well, despite that, a good financial performances does not necessarily mean that the firm or a company is operating in a legitimate way, nor will it increase legitimacy. Well, when you think about it, some customers tend to think that when a firm is governed, approved, or authorized by the government, the firm must be legitimate. But that is not always true because, some firms might follow the rules and regulations, but they might not have completely be honest with what they're doing or with their operations. They tend to go to certain extent or beyond some loophole in some cases. Well, take the case of Enron and Arthur Andersen. Both companies have high performances and also profit. They grow in a rapid rate. From a point of view, an outside point of view, a person might think that both companies is very legitimate and also a good company. But when the fraud leaks out, their perception change. And another thing is that an improved financial performances may be linked to growth in reputations. However, the means of achieving all of those things, the means of achieving those numbers on their financial statement should also matter. If the fraud leaks out, the firm might be encountering or experiencing bankruptcy and even make the public lose their trust in the company or even in the market.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Hey, Tan,
Yeah, Anna?
I've got some questions for you.
Yes, you can go on.
Well, okay. Tan, can you tell me what are your views about legitimacy, reputation, and their link to sustainable value chain?
Good question, Anna. In fact, I recall the authors also talking about it. See, reputation and legitimacy, they're all opinions based on a stakeholder's perspective. So if you really look at it, it is the stakeholders of a firm or an organization, or I even say an individual at large, who measure the level of sustainability and reputation of what they are measuring on. Maybe it can be a company, an individual, or an organization. So if you really look at it, that implies that the stakeholders at large, which can be broken down into three levels, the micro, macro, and the meso, are the people who actually see as to what level of reputation or legitimacy you have. So one might ask, how do we know? Well, you can know. You need to conduct a value chain analysis. Now, in a value chain analysis, you need to find out as to what the stakeholders value in your firm or in your organization. Now, in doing so, since it's a broad perspective of the stakeholders, you'll have to include all those people who are not in the past as a process of the value chain, but also the people who contribute to the relationships of the value chain. So having said that, I think that is how this entire picture comes together.
Okay.
It's like a beans in a pot. You have sustainability, you have reputation, you have legitimacy, and this whole pot comes together from a stakeholder's perspective.
Sounds good.
Wanna make a more, Kenna?
I wouldn't mind, but can you know what we're up to?
Well, I'm looking for bees.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm looking for bees. I'm looking for honey. You know that you know in marketing there's a famous term, no money, no honey. Right? So I'm looking for honey.
Well, in that case, I do have one more question to ask.
Yes.
So, I mean, you've given me a pretty much good view about what sustainability is, how it's linked to the legitimacy and reputation, and
Yeah.
all the other factors. Now, how would you say, how much is reputation valuable? I mean, is it less needed in terms of other factors?
Well, I remember the authors also discussing about this matter. From the author's point of view,
Okay.
reputation is less important when compared to legitimacy.
I guess your bees are really gonna be.
Yes, my bees are somewhere in the breeze. And to get back to what we were talking about,
Yeah.
the authors said that reputation is less important. Now, why they said so
Okay.
is reputation is not needed for a business to survive. If you start a business, you might not be reputable, but you can still enter markets, you can still sell your products, you can still compete. It doesn't give you any competitive advantage at first, or it doesn't help you survive in the business landscape.
Okay.
But considering another perspective, reputation also helps a business in the long run. In the short run, it might not do you any good, but in the long run, it does. Take the case of Nike, for example. You remember the case of Nike where they started running sweatshops using child labor?
Well, yeah, I do.
Do you remember reading about it? It was
Oh,
quite famous
definitely.
some
Yeah,
years
yeah.
back. Nike, however, turned their strategy around. So what Nike did was, Nike came in and said, look here, give us your used soles and we're gonna make shoes for children. We're gonna make running tracks for children. And they're gonna use the soles of the used shoes to do great things. And this actually turned things around for Nike.
Oh.
People started looking at Nike as a more reputable company, a more legitimate company. So it really brings the question, reputation can actually turn things around for you. If you look like you are a reputed company, in the long run it does help. It has been proven in the case of Nike. So it's actually a two-sided sword. You can't actually agree on one side. Maybe reputation is good, is not desirable in the short run, but it also seems to be desirable in the long run. So I'm actually split between these two decisions, and I think the authors too. One limitation that I found while reading the literature is that they didn't focus,
Okay.
Anam, on a wide varieties of industries. They focused on one set of industries. Now, just by focusing on this one set of industries, we can't conclude anything, because we don't know whether it will be the same in another set of industries. Now, having said that, they also, mind you, use only institutionalized situations
Oh, yeah,
or companies. They didn't consider the rest. So when it comes to a very theoretical perspective, yes, I do say the authors have done well, but in a practical case, Anam, as you and me know, it's never the case.
Never the case.
Yes?
I agree.
Would you like to go and look for some bees with me?
No, thank you.
Hi, I'm Tan, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of the market.
myself as well.
So when it comes to
Obsessed.
look at this
Obsessed.
short.
When it comes to myself,
When it comes to myself, I want to make
He's
sure that I look
obsessed.
good on camera.
but he's not.
I swear we're gonna put this.